We will get to the new developments in whether the Senate trial will feature any new witnesses. But first, the man who many see as helping get President to this precipice, Rudy Giuliani. And he won't stop talking.
He just won't stop.
He won't stop. He can't stop.
And it's not, Rudy, it's just not good for you or
he thinks it is.
Those Ukrainian guys you hang out with or the President of the United States.
He just won't stop
You need
talking.
a lawyer, actually.
A new piece in The New Yorker reveals the remarkable admission from President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, where he says that he needed former Ukraine Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch out of the way because she was hindering his push to get dirt on former Vice President Joe Biden. In the December issue of The New Yorker, Giuliani confirmed that he saw Yovanovitch as an obstacle, saying in part, quote, "I believe that I needed Yovanovitch out of the way. She was going to make the investigations difficult for everybody." When asked about Yovanovitch in an interview last night, Giuliani confirmed he pushed her out, but denied needing her out of the way.
Now, this hit piece, and it's a hit piece,
of course,
also has you on the record admitting that you forced out Marie Yovanovitch.
Of course
you said
I did.
You needed her out of the way, but you're a personal attorney for the president, so why do you need her out of the way?
I didn't need her out of the way. I forced her out because she's corrupt.
I said I needed her out of the way. Now I don't need her out of the way. It's just so confusing.
Well,
being Rudy, talking anytime somebody sticks a microphone in front of you.
The New York Times reports that Giuliani spoke to Trump a couple of times earlier this year about how Yovanovitch had hindered efforts that could be politically helpful to the president. Quote, "In conversations in the first months of the year with the president, Mr. Giuliani, by his account, cast Ms. Yovanovitch as impeding not only investigations in Ukraine that could benefit Mr. Trump, but also Mr. Giuliani's efforts to gather evidence to defend him and target his rivals in the United States." The paper continues. Giuliani told the president and Mr. Pompeo that Ms. Yovanovitch was blocking visas for Ukrainian prosecutors to come to the United States to present evidence to him and also to federal authorities that he claimed could be damaging to Mr. Biden and his son, Hunter Biden. This seems to be backing up the whole concept.
Everything backs up everything.
Okay.
And by the way, this is Rudy's impeachment.
Yeah.
I mean, none of this would have happened without Rudy Giuliani. And you talk to people around Donald Trump, and they tell you that. I mean, we'll continue with this, Willie, but you know, he was so desperate for attention. He was so desperate to be in the news. He was so desperate to say, hey, I'm talking to the president and I'm really important to the president of the United States, even while people at state, people at DOD, people in the White House understood the risk that Rudy actually had towards Donald Trump and the presidency. You know, Jimmy Breslin nailed it when he said that Rudy Giuliani was a small man in search of a balcony. You talk to people who worked with him when he was at his height, they will tell you all of this is about nothing more than Rudy Giuliani being desperate to stay relevant. And it was so desperate to remain relevant and continues to be so desperate to remain relevant that he keeps endangering the president's prospects day in and day out.
So much of where the president is right now is because of the man you're looking at right there, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. You know, as journalists usually have to work a lot harder than this to get to the truth. Yeah. But Rudy Giuliani, if you put a tape recorder in front of him, just literally comes out and says it again. This is the quote in The New Yorker published last night.
Oh, my God.
"I believe I needed Yovanovitch out of the way. She was going to make the investigations difficult for everybody." He's saying, first of all, that there were investigations out there to look into Joe Biden and everything else, but he just spells it out and lays it out. And again, so that he can go on Fox last night and be on TV and then go to the Grand Havana room later and talk about it with the people he sees there. But my goodness, he just literally, and this isn't the first time, he just comes out and says it. And this confirms, obviously, so much of what we heard in front of the Intel Committee from Ambassador Yovanovitch and Fiona Hill and everyone else.
What does this remind you of, Willie? It reminds you of Donald Trump saying to the Russian foreign minister, hey, I had to fire Comey. I had to get him out of the way. This would get pressure off of us because of the investigation. Now Rudy's admitting the same thing regarding Ukraine.
Yeah, and he goes on and on. If you read through the piece, it's extraordinary. He almost lays out chapter and verse what the president is being alleged of and what he will be impeached for tomorrow. Again, Rudy just comes out and says it.
Well, I think it's also part of the Mick Mulvaney defense. Get over it. See, we did this. Yeah. And I'm wondering, John Meacham, is there any character figure in history, any situation in history that parallels this? I mean, this is, I think, a new level, a new arena where the truth is being devalued by being put out there and saying, yeah, get over it. And whether it's the legal community or the journalists covering the story or ordinary, everyday Americans, they're so shocked by it that it just goes right past them.
Well, and also it's a little like the frog boiling in water, which is an analogy that we hear a lot. You know, if you put a frog in, the boil comes slowly. You don't notice it quite as much. And right now we're boiling. And I think that the thing that really kind of bothers me the most in terms of long-term democratic lowercase d culture is people keep saying we're tired of the impeachment, or we think there are more important things. Well, I'm tired of going to the doctor. You know, I'm tired of getting vaccinations. I'm tired of exercising. That doesn't mean I don't have to do those things, though. This isn't about entertainment. It's not about keeping people interested. It's about the Constitution. And I don't think it's much more complicated than that. We're in this moment where reason and passion, the two fundamental human impulses, and passion is much more easily acted on than reason, are in fundamental conflict. And I like to think that if the partisan shoes were on other feet, we'd be saying the same thing. Those of us who think that the facts and the Constitution should govern this. And one of the things that I think is so hard for people on the Trump side of things to understand is it's not always all about him. Sometimes it's about the facts, it's about the Constitution, this is about the order that served us incredibly well for a long time, but it only serves us well if we, the people, are part of it, and if we allow people, representatives, to react to fact as opposed to passion and pre-existing philosophy. That's what's at stake.
Yeah, it's a fascinating time. Overnight.